Oh, well, let me bring it back. I mean, looking at, the role of the youths and all of that, that also has been in contention, whether the youths can even step up to the plate or not. Do you think, because we've had examples of people who, were made office as young people and they still have EFCC cases at the moment. I mean, they were in office since 1999 and they still have EFCC cases. So people are even saying that it's not about being a young person. It's about being, able to.
That the young people in this country are very, very ready. They are prepared. They are strong. They are vibrant. They are knowledgeable people. And they are very, very hardworking people. And believe me, we are waiting for the opportunity to actually take the bull by the horn and deliver excellently well in this country. All these people you are talking about, and then we are all brandishing them as youths and what have you. If you check them out, they are well above 40 years old. Let me take you back to the yesteryears of this country when we had it all good. Most of those leaders in this country were less than 40 years old. The oldest of them all was probably Nnamdi Azikiwe, who was about 40 or 42 years old, between 40 and 42 as at that time. All others were way below 40 years. And then talk about former military president Obasanjo, talk about even President Buhari when he was head of state, talk about General Yakubu Gowon, talk about Obafemi Awolowo, the zigs, the great zigs of this world, Ladoke Akinto, all of them.
Well, so, again, the argument is that was then. This is now. Realities have changed.
Yes.
Things have changed.
Yes.
I mean, so that is what people are looking at, and they say it's not just about being young. At that point in time, Nigeria was just getting independent. So, presumably, there weren't so many, older people.
Right.
And these were the people who fought for the independence of Nigeria, and they took that opportunity at that point. Now things have changed.
Yes.
You still have a number of people who were relevant at that point in time that are still relevant. You just made mention, of former President Olusegun Obasanjo and even the current president. So the realities actually have changed.
Yeah, in as much as the reality have changed, I try to create a balance whenever this topic is being mentioned. Once they talk about youths getting on board, they start citing one or two pocket fillers, bad examples. And I was talking to someone and I said to him, do you want us to mention the bad example of the older ones? We won't go today. But you can just pick one or two out of the youths and you want to generalize. Take it from me. We have 1,001 youths that are competent. We're not just preaching the youths to take over. No, we're preaching competence. And we find it in youths too. That many of them can steer, we can actually steer this nation.
Absolutely.
And, a couple of things that I'm involved in have actually exposed me to competent youth. Okay, for instance, there's a little project we're doing, and we call it the Role Models Under 40. Now, within 1 year, we've had close to 60 or thereabout youths that are under 40 that have done marvelous. And take it from me, the profiles of these youths are huge and they are unique. So it pains me when you talk about youth taking over and you just start pointing one or two persons that are youths and they've done badly. Let us count the good ones. And believe you me, if we do that, you see that we're actually ready to take over. Don't forget, for me, it's not about just being young. That's not enough. It's competence. And believe you me, we have a lot of competent youths that are willing and ready to take on the tide of this nation.
Well, guys, let's just before we went on this break, we're talking about how a few of the youths have been singled out, instead of looking at the majority of those who are competent. But let me come back to, what you were talking about earlier, saying that the president's offense is actually impeachable, but then you're leaving it to the National Assembly to decide on what they want to do.
Right.
We understand there's a committee that has been set up, to look into this issue. But one thing that has happened more often than not is the fact that when you have something going on like this, you have youths carrying placards, protesting for or against, not minding whether it is right or wrong. So, I mean, again, there is actually that large number of youths, and that perhaps could have fueled, the comments made by the president during the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, where he talked about how Nigerian youths just... he didn't say lazy, but he just, just sit behind and wait for things to, to just come or fall on their laps. Again, that brings up the argument of competency, amongst Nigerian youths.
I don't know.
Well, over time,
Graham.
the truth is, over time, the political class, they're very smart. We must give that to them. The political class have
Smarter than the younger generation.
I'm not going
Who
to
are
say.
supposed to
I'm
have
not going to
smarter
say. I'm
ideas.
not going to say smarter, but I will admit the fact that they are smart, and I'll give you a reason. They are actually applying the, hungry man economic control kind of thing. They know that the youths are hungry. Not just the youths. They know that a lot of Nigerians are hungry. So what do? They starve them of economic power. Then when it's getting close to the election, they release little, to them. And there's this notion, it takes a lot of orientation, I must say, for us to get off this stage. Because for a couple of persons, I want to just have what to eat today, and that's all. Not minding the fact that your bread for today is mortgaging, your 4 years.
Your future.
Yes, your future. So it takes a lot of orientation. So the truth is that it is something that is doable. The youths can actually move from, but it will take a couple of years. It will take a couple of orientation. But then I think we're closer. We're very, very close to that point because a couple of persons now understand that better. And because of that, the approach, to these, so-called strategy by the politicians are beginning to fail.
All right, Wale, I mean, let's look at the Constitution. I mean, we've heard about, the buzz around the not too young to run, looking at the age limits, constitutionally. And here we are, I mean, let's even look at those young people now that want to run for president. I mean, how many of them are actually young, despite the constraints, the constitutional constraints they have at the moment?
You see, the thing is, before you can be president of Nigeria, you need to be at least 40 years old, and then some people are still clamoring for the fact that you still need to bring that down. They want it to be jacked down to maybe 30, 35, and where be, and, but right now the Constitution is still the Constitution. And so it clearly provides for a situation where you are not less than 40 years old, and then for me, I think this presents us with another wonderful opportunity to look at the character, the integrity of those people who are even seeking, the office of the president. Because for me, that is the most exalted office of the land. And so we cannot afford to treat that with kid gloves. And then we cannot afford to elect people with mean feet. We really need to be very sensitive to the reality of now. And then all of us should ensure that we congregate at that juncture where we look out for the best, amongst everyone that is actually seeking this office, and then we ensure that we hold them to account at the end of the day. Because one challenge that we have in this country is that we do not know how to hold our leaders to account, and we do not know how to say no at the right time. If somebody is failing in his responsibility as a leader, you should let that person know that, excuse me, we are not interested in you coming to rule us in this country.
So let's understand, I mean, because we're looking at this nation-building whole thing, and, it is believed that a bottom-up approach is better. But how many of these youths want to start from councillorship, chairmanship, state House of Assembly members? Why don't we make that transition in wrapping up, of course?
I think that has somewhat changed. The youths are beginning to pick interest in some of these things, to the best of my knowledge. But then we need to also understand that you mustn't climb the ladder politically. With that, I mean, it mustn't be that because you've been a councillor before, that's when you're qualified to be a commissioner and all that. Donald Trump didn't have any political, precedent. But
how well would you say he's doing as president?
Well, he's doing very well, by my own judgment. He's doing very well. I like a couple of his policies. I like some of his approach. They could be crude and all that, but, I like them, a few of them. But then the truth is, we have youths that have, in quotes, paid the price in other places, business and all that. Then if a youth have done well in business, for you to even be successful in business with the terrain we are in, it requires a lot of leadership.
Right.
Then taking a shot at political office shouldn't be more of an issue. But then I also advocate that you go down, you take it from the bottom-up approach. But then bottom-up must not be political bottom, up and all that.
Well, I guess we'll have to just leave the conversation, and hopefully we'll have this conversation another time. But I have to thank you, Graham Elendu, Publicity Secretary, African Union Youth Council.
No, it's African Youth Union Commission.
Okay, African Youth Union
Commission.
I mean,
yes.
You just mix up, these commissions and councils, AYUC,
AYUC is actually, it's more like, the youth, movement
of the
African Union.
Very well, and thank you for the clarification again.
Thank you very much for having
practitioner. Thank you as well.
Thanks
for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Well, that's where we are. We'll be back with the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week. Please stay with us. Well, there you go. Those were the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week, and that is also where we'll wrap it up on the program this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Victor Matthias, but let's keep the conversation going via the social media addresses showing on your screen as well as the hashtag. I'm Victor Matthias. Bye for now.